That was Soothing Love by TiKA, a beloved voice on the Canadian music scene. TiKA is a multidisciplinary artist, singer-songwriter, DJ, model, film composer, actor, advocate for the empowerment of female artists. She has a lot of tricks up her sleeve, and earlier this year, she added another feather to her cap with the release of her hotly anticipated debut LP, Anywhere But Here. And she joins me virtually to tell us more about it. Thank you so much for being on the show today. It's a real pleasure to meet you. I've been listening to your music all weekend long, and Anywhere But Here is this incredible universe that you've created. It's a kind of 80s inspired synth pop album. You've described the sound as futuristic nostalgia. I love this expression. Can you tell us what you mean by that?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like the sound of this project is, deeply rooted in 80s thematic pop. That's the music that inspired me. I'm definitely showing my age. But that's the music that I grew up on, and it's just I don't know, that type of music. It just reminds me of pivotal moments of my life, and it still sounds present day. So it's this beautiful melange of the past, but still present, and a bit futuristic in the sense that I feel like the collaboration of the two makes for like a whole embodiment, if
It's
you will.
it's
So,
such
yeah.
a unique sound that you've created here. And so it's an album that you released a couple months ago in the middle of the coronavirus lockdown. Would you say this is a much needed soothing balm for listeners in such an uncertain period of time in the world right now?
Yeah, I would definitely say so, especially because it's so vulnerable. My other projects are more, I think I used to write from more of like a narrative perspective, or more from a like outsider perspective
Hmm.
or third party. This is very direct. You know what I mean? Like, this is the first time I've ever written, and it's been like, this is my heart. These are my experiences. So it's very vulnerable, and that was really new for me. But with the emergence of the pandemic, um, I felt like it was the right time for a project like this, because things are so painstakingly real that I felt like this is all we need right now is reality.
Hmm.
Um, so it felt like the perfect time. Yeah, definitely.
Well, it's definitely been nice to listen to during these stressful times. Let's take a listen to another track off your album. It's actually a cover of a Prince song. It's called I Would Die For You. Take a listen. TiKA, that's such a beautiful cover of that Prince song, I Would Die For You. His version is a lot more upbeat. This is a much more soulful version. How much of an inspiration has Prince been to you in your songwriting?
Oh my God, he's definitely my favorite artist. Yeah, like, in terms of songwriting, and thank you so much for saying that, because I actually got back the mix. Not many people know this, but I got back the first mix of this song the day that he died.
Wow.
So it was so devastating for me, because I really wanted him to hear it and just say something,
Hmm.
you know. But I really wanted to just pay homage to his life and his legacy, and he's really inspired a lot of my art and my work in terms of like his structural method of writing, his approach. This song is, particularly about Christ, and I don't think a lot of people know that I Would Die For You is actually about the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And Prince was a pretty devout Jehovah's Witness, and I thought it was so brilliant that he was able to turn a pop record into a song about God and Christ.
You've got so many, tricks up your sleeve. You're a singer-songwriter. You're also a model, a DJ. You're very prolific. And I was wanting to know, talking about modeling, you did a campaign for Sephora. It was all about beauty and self-acceptance. These are things that you talk about in your songs as well. What did it mean to you to do this campaign?
I wasn't really considered the most attractive person growing up. And that was uncomfortable, like in school. And so to be asked to do this campaign was definitely not something that I was anticipating or expecting. It made me feel affirmed in who I am, and that different is not necessarily equatable to wrong. I see it as a responsibility to other young, chubby Black girls that wanted to see themselves represented. That's so important. And I never really saw that when I was growing up.
It's such a beautiful campaign as well. We're going to move on to some other music news that's making headlines. Here in France, the live music venues are timidly opening up again after months of lockdown. But there's still a lot of uncertainty about the future of massive concerts and festivals. Now, authorities carried out a so-called indoor test concert in Paris for the French new wave band Indochine, and the 5,000 attendees that you can see here, as you can see, they had to wear a mask. They had to also give a proof of a negative COVID-19 test, but they did not have to socially distance. So things are looking up. And meanwhile, the outdoor festival La Villette Sonique went ahead in front of a small seated crowd this time, and a crowd that was delighted to be back at an outdoor festival.
C'est formidable, quel bonheur de pouvoir avoir enfin ce soleil et un concert. Ça, c'est pas tous les jours.
La vie sociale, les gens qui dansent, les gens qui font la fête, les gens qui se parlent, qui échangent, c'est la vie en fait. On en a tous besoin.
Ça fait du bien de ressortir. Ça fait 1 an et demi qu'on est cloîtrés chez nous. C'est quand même un concert assis, donc c'est très 2021 pour le coup. Dès qu'on n'a pas forcément trop le droit de danser, donc ça c'est vraiment dommage. Mais c'est quand même agréable, ça fait du bien. On a l'impression de revivre, quoi.
Bah, c'est un peu moins marrant qu'avant, mais si c'est ce qu'il faut faire pour pouvoir profiter de la musique, pas de problème.
Now, TiKA, in the good old days of live music, you opened for some pretty major artists like the R&B heavyweight John Legend. What is the thing you miss the most about performing live?
I would definitely say that for me, performing live it feels like you're about to touch heaven. Like, I don't know how to explain it. If you're not a performer, you might not understand, but it really does feel like that. It feels like you're about to ascend to the highest high. Mm-hmm. So without it, there's this element of, lack or scarce. It feels kind of empty without live performances and to be able to connect with people. Also, even though I'm not in the audience, like that closeness of being next to someone, like, I miss that. I miss hugs,
Yeah. I know what you mean. I miss, it might sound weird to say, but I miss sweating next to strangers while listening to live music. So we're just going to bring you one more bit of music news here from the British noise rock quartet Black Midi. They've released a glorious second studio album. It's called Cavalcade. It's full of elaborate chord changes and twisted rhythms. It's an exuberant, intricate labyrinth. It's really full of raw aliveness, as you can hear on this track. It's called John L. Take a listen.
The garbling non-song whips strong into frenzy, and the echoes of his crooning now cease to be heard. No longer pale brunettes are broken in two and thrown to the snouts of the antidote crew. John 15 is intolerant, his soapbox usurped, his bone robe adorns the tree stumps of the earth. No half of an army will last long before he breeds men who yearn for their own bloody glory.
So a pretty wild music video there for that track. TiKA, you're very involved in the visual aspect of your music as well. You created a short film to accompany your album. Can you tell us a little bit more about that short film?
Yeah, totally. It's just like there's small short films that are put together in one larger film. So all the music videos are encompassed in this one major film. But I was really inspired by Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. and a couple of other films that Prince had done back in the day. But I think it's important to be able to express yourself creatively in different ways, and visuals are, you know, a really important way for me to explore the art of fantasy in contrast with like Blackness. We don't see enough Black people encompassed in the realm or genre of fantasy. And so it's the perfect opportunity for me to imagine what a world could look like. Yeah, and I love that. I love being able to explore and to be explorative in that range.
It's a very cool way for you to express yourself on top of the music, and it really goes well with those tracks as well. Finally, here's a name you should remember. Olivia Rodrigo, the 18-year-old American singer-songwriter, released her first album. It's called Sour. This was just a few weeks ago, and she's already setting Billboard records and getting tens of millions of views on YouTube. Now, this is for catchy tracks like Driver's License, Déjà Vu. Some people are already calling her the new Taylor Swift, and she will definitely be on your summer playlist. We're gonna leave you with a track. It's called Good For You, but before that, I wanna thank my guest today, TiKA. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so appreciative.
And please be sure to check out her debut album. It's called Anywhere But Here. It's a wonderful soundtrack as the summer starts. For more arts and culture news, head to our website and stay in touch on social media. Stay tuned to France 24. More news is coming up right after this.